All right, so are you ready to dive deep into Think and Grow Rich?
Always ready for a good deep dive.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at excerpts from the 1937 audiobook and basically try to figure out what Napoleon Hill thought was like the secret to success.
Especially when it comes to money.
Yeah, especially when it comes to money.
Right.
But here's the thing. This book isn't just about money.
Yeah.
It's really about like how our thoughts can shape reality.
It is, yeah. And how powerful they are. And he really hits the ground running with a story about a guy named Edwin Barnes who had this like burning desire to work with Thomas Edison. And Barnes didn't have anything, like no fancy education, no connections, no money. He actually hopped a freight train to get to Edison's lab.
Wow. That's dedication. So what was it about Barnes, though, that made Edison even want to talk to him?
Well, that's what's so interesting. Edison himself said he saw something in Barnes. And it was this unwavering determination, what Hill calls a definite desire.
Okay, so how is that different from just wishing for something?
It's a great question. A definite desire is different from a wish in that it's very clear and focused.
Okay.
You know it's not fleeting.
Yeah.
It's a very deep-seated belief that you're going to achieve your goal, no matter what obstacles come your way. So Barnes didn't just want to work with Edison. He knew that he would. It was his destiny. And that belief fueled his actions.
So he was visualizing that.
Yeah, and he manifested it. You know what I mean? And he ended up getting a job selling Edison's invention, the Edison dictating machine. And he was so successful that their partnership led to the slogan, "Made by Edison, installed by Barnes."
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
He literally thought himself into a partnership with one of history's greatest inventors.
Yeah, it's like the power of manifestation.
Exactly. And the thing is, Hill doesn't just leave us with these anecdotes. He spent 25 years studying over 25,000 people
Really?
to try and understand the principles of success, what makes people successful.
What separates the successful people from the not so successful?
From the dreamers, yeah. And he found that one of the biggest things is persistence.
Persistence.
That stick-to-ititionness,
Yeah.
never giving up.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's really, really hard. And that made me think about the story of R.U. Darby's uncle in the gold mine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, have you heard the story?
Yeah, he was so close to striking gold.
And he gave up.
And then someone else got the gold.
Someone came in and got a fortune just 3 feet from where he stopped digging.
Oh.
I know, it's so frustrating. It makes me so mad just thinking about it.
It is.
But it's true. It's that. Quitting right before the breakthrough. And Hill actually argues that riches come quickly and abundantly, not necessarily from this long, hard labor, but really like a shift in your mindset.
Okay, so it's the mindset.
It's the mindset, yeah.
He took the word impossible out of his dictionary.
He did, yeah. And he says that riches begin with a state of mind. If you want to be successful, you got to cultivate a successful mindset.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, it's a great question. It's more than just thinking positive thoughts.
Right.
You have to kind of align your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with what you want.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Look at Henry Ford. A lot of people attribute his success to luck or genius. But Hill believes that Ford succeeded because he understood and applied certain principles. And that's why he's saying that anyone can achieve similar results in their own field.
What were some of those principles that made him so successful?
That's a great question.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Welcome back.
So we were talking about those principles that made Henry Ford so successful.
Right. And Hill really emphasizes this idea of specialized knowledge.
So what does that mean? Do I just have to go to college and get a degree or?
It's more than just going to college. He says it's not just about having a lot of general knowledge.
Okay.
It's about having knowledge that solves problems and meets specific needs. You know what I mean?
So becoming an expert in something that you're passionate about.
Exactly. And he uses Henry Ford as an example.
Yeah.
Henry Ford didn't have much formal education, but he understood the mechanics of automobiles like nobody's business.
And he knew that stuff.
Yeah, that was his specialized knowledge.
Okay.
And it's what allowed him to build this incredible empire.
So if I want to be successful, I have to figure out what knowledge is valuable in my field and then really just go all in on it.
Yes, exactly. Go deep.
Yeah.
And Hill provides a bunch of different avenues for how you can acquire that knowledge.
Okay.
We can tap into what he calls infinite intelligence, which is kind of drawing on our creative imagination and our intuition. We can also learn from the accumulated experience of other people.
Okay.
Study books, take courses.
Look at successful people.
Observe successful people, yeah. But it's not enough just to have the knowledge.
Right.
You also have to know how to use it. You know what I mean?
So you can't just have the book smarts you have to like.
You have to know how to apply it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You need the knowledge and the know-how. And he uses the example of, oh gosh, what's that story called? The Enchanted Kettle.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, it's so good. It's about an old country doctor.
Who basically sold like a secret formula in a kettle?
Yes. To like a young drug clerk for like his life savings.
It wasn't that much though, right?
No, it was like $500.
And then it became Coca-Cola.
It became Coca-Cola. With a little imagination, a little marketing.
Yeah, and a good formula, I guess.
And a good formula.
So you need a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you need all the pieces. But sometimes, even if you have the knowledge and a great idea, you still might hit a wall. Like, what if you just don't have the resources or the connections to move forward?
Well, that's where the whole mastermind thing comes in, right?
Yes, the mastermind. Hill believed that if you can form an alliance with like-minded people, that you can amplify your power and achieve way more than you could on your own.
It's like two heads are better than one.
Exactly. He actually takes it further than that. He says that a mastermind group can create a synergy that's like greater than the sum of its parts. It's like this kind of exponential growth.
So how do you build like a good mastermind group? What do you need to look for?
Well, first you got to find people who share your vision and whose skills complement yours.
Okay.
Right. So you're creating a circle of trust
and
support where everybody's committed to helping each other succeed.
So it's not just like networking with anybody. You have to find people who are really like
aligned.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's important is to have regular meetings and brainstorming sessions.
Okay.
Where you guys can come together and share ideas and hold each other accountable.
Yeah, that accountability is so important.
It is. You know, it reminds me of the story that Hill tells about Frank Gonzalez, this young preacher who wanted to build a school.
Yeah, in Chicago, I think.
In Chicago, yes.
Yeah.
In this really impoverished area.
He wanted to help the kids?
He did, yeah. And he was trying to figure out how to get $1 million, you know, to build the school. And one day he just had this like epiphany. He's like, I'm going to get this $1 million within a week.
And he came up with this plan?
He came up with a plan.
To write a sermon.
Yeah, and that he was going to inspire somebody in his congregation to donate the money.
Wow.
Talk about faith.
So did it work?
It worked. A guy named Philip D. Armour, who was like a super successful businessman,
heard the sermon
and wrote him a check.
For $1 million?
For $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It just shows the power of like, I don't know, intention and faith.
It's amazing. Yeah. So you have the knowledge, you have your idea and your mastermind group.
Right. But even with all that, there's one thing that's super important.
What's that?
Persistence.
Right.
It's like the sustained effort necessary to induce faith.
But that can be so hard.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's like the most challenging thing. Because you just get discouraged sometimes.
Oh, for sure. And Hill says that most people give up too easily, like right before they're about to have a breakthrough.
Oh, no.
I know. So how do we cultivate persistence?
Right. Is that like a born personality thing, or can you like learn it?
Well, Hill believed that persistence is a habit that can be developed. And he outlined 4 steps for doing that.
Ooh. I like steps. Okay, so what are the 4 steps?
All right, so we've got our 4 steps to cultivate persistence.
Okay, lay them on me. I'm ready.
Step 1, a definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment.
Okay, so you got to know what you want and you got to really want it.
Yeah, like with everything we've been talking about.
Right.
Step 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action.
So like, don't just think about it.
You got to do it.
You got to actually do something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Step 3, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances.
That's an interesting one. I feel like that can be really hard. Yeah. You know, because sometimes like the people closest to you don't always get it.
That's so true. It's hard, but you got to stay focused on your goal.
Yeah.
Tune out those negative voices, even if they come from a good place.
Okay, I can try that. What's number 4?
A friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose.
So that's where your mastermind group comes in.
Exactly. They're going to help keep you accountable and on track.
That makes a lot of sense. So those are the 4 steps to cultivate persistence. But even with all of that, there's still something that can hold us back.
You're talking about fear, right?
Yeah, fear. It's like that silent saboteur that can just creep in and ruin everything.
It's insidious. It's so sneaky. And Hill actually dedicates a whole chapter in Think and Grow Rich to fear. He outlines 6 basic fears that can really paralyze us.
6. Okay, what are they?
The first one, and probably like the most common, is the fear of poverty.
That makes sense.
This can manifest in so many ways, like clinging to a dead-end job, avoiding risks, always worrying about money.
It's like a scarcity mindset.
Exactly. The second fear is the fear of criticism. This one can be tough, especially for creative people.
Because it's like they're putting themselves out there.
Exactly. And it can silence their voices, stifle their ideas, prevent them from sharing their gifts with the world.
So it's like you got to learn to not care what other people think so much.
It's tough, but yeah.
Easier said than done sometimes, though. Okay, what's the next one?
The fear of ill health. This one can manifest as hypochondria, anxiety about the future, always thinking you're sick.
Yeah, fear can manifest in weird ways.
It really can. The next one is the fear of loss of love. This can lead to jealousy, possessiveness, a desperate need for approval from other people.
It's like you're not getting that approval from yourself.
Right, exactly. You're looking for it externally instead of cultivating it internally.
Yeah, what about number 5?
Fear of old age.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
This one can manifest as resistance to change, like feeling like you're past your prime or dreading the future.
Yeah, like looking back instead of looking forward.
Yes. And then the final fear is the fear of death. It's a natural fear to have, but it can be paralyzing if you let it control your life.
Yeah, because then you don't really live.
Right. You're too afraid to take risks or pursue your passions.
So those are the 6 fears. But is there anything you can do about it?
Hill says that all of these fears are just states of mind.
Okay.
Mental ghosts that we create. And he says that we have the power to choose our thoughts, and therefore we have the power to conquer these fears.
But how do you do that? How do you actually conquer your fears?
Well, he suggests using auto-suggestion. That thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Reprogramming your subconscious mind with positive affirmations and visualizations.
So you're basically creating a new mental picture for yourself.
Exactly. He also says it's important to surround yourself with positive people who uplift and inspire you, not bring you down.
Yeah, your friends and family can really make a difference there. Okay, so we've talked about the fears. But there's one last principle that Hill talks about that I found really interesting. The 6th sense.
Yes. The 6th sense. This is where things get a little mystical.
Right. So what is that?
Hill describes the 6th sense as the doorway to the temple of wisdom. It's like this intuitive knowing that goes beyond our rational mind.
That's like that gut feeling you get.
Yes. It's the realm of hunches, inspirations, those aha moments that come out of nowhere.
Yeah, like those moments of clarity. So how do you develop your 6th sense? Is that even possible?
Hill says the 6th sense can be fully developed by mastering the other 12 principles we've talked about.
So it's like the final piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. And he says that you can cultivate the 6th sense through meditation, introspection, and being open to trusting your intuition.
So it's like you're quieting your mind and listening to that inner voice.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty amazing.
It is. Hill says that some of history's greatest achievements have come from people who were tapped into their 6th sense.
Really? Like inventions and stuff.
Yes. Inventions, art, music, revolutionary ideas, all kinds of things.
So it's not just like some woo-woo concept.
Not at all. It's a real powerful force that we all have access to.
Wow. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from desire to fear to persistence to the 6th sense.
We have. It's been a real journey.
I feel like we've learned a lot.
Hill gives us a roadmap for achieving our dreams. He doesn't sugarcoat the challenges.
Right, and he provides real strategies for overcoming those challenges.
He does.
So what's the biggest takeaway for you?
That success is not just about luck or talent. It's about understanding and applying these principles, cultivating the right mindset, and taking action.
I agree. Think and Grow Rich is packed with timeless wisdom. It's as relevant today as it was almost 100 years ago.
It is. We encourage everyone to revisit these principles, apply them to your own lives, and see what happens.
And remember, as Hill says, thoughts are things.
They are.
So think big and don't be afraid to go after your dreams. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.